56, Part 2 will stand part. Members, we come to the debate on clauses 1 and 2. I'll give Jacinda Ardern the call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's my pleasure to give a contribution to the debate around the title and commencement clauses. And I think that gives us an opportunity to get back to the core of what, if this was a well-functioning bill, if the Families Commission was structured in a way to deliver as what the title implies, advocacy for families, what would the bill in itself need to have entailed? Well, I touched briefly in part one, Mr. Chair, on the debate around the advocacy function, because having a Families Commission, because all commissions, through implication by the fact that they are a commission, it implies that they do have a strong advocacy function. You think of the Commissioner for the Environment, that's probably one of the strongest, probably determined by the separation that they have from the government in their advocacy role. Think of the Children's Commission, again, a very strong advocacy function. So the use of the word commission in the title implies that you would expect the same. My concern, Mr. Chair, though, with the advocacy function of this bill is that it's quite narrowly defined in part one, thereby really, I think, challenging whether it should be a bill that refers to a commission. The advocacy function is defined in Part 1, 6.3, Part 3A and B. In performing its advocacy function, the Commission must identify and have regard to factors that help to maintain or enhance either or both of the following: A, families' resilience; B, families' strengths. Quite tightly defined. But even under those headings, you would think that we would have, for instance, a Families Commission that would be willing to talk about a family's resilience being affected by, for instance, high cost of living. Because an ability for a family, we know that, for instance, research tells us that you're likely to see considerable dysfunction in families where financial stresses start to compound. So we know that there is a correlation between things like cost of living and how functional our families are. Those economic stresses are really important. Why have we not heard the Families Commission talk about that in recent times? Resilience, why haven't we heard the Families Commission talk about the strain on families in Christchurch? We've heard children's advocates talk about those issues, but we haven't heard the Families Commission. So it seems to me that if you were defining family resilience, strengths, that there are plenty of advocacy roles that the Families Commission should be playing currently that we're not seeing. And that's what you would expect by something that holds the title of commission, because that's the kind of advocacy roles that we're used to seeing. So, if we're not calling it the Families Commission Amendment Bill, what would we call it? It's the No Family Advocacy Bill, the Token Gesture to United Future Bill, the family, and the in names only, the after the election we'll get rid of it bill. There's a whole list of things, but Families Commission is just, I think, an unfair representation. It probably sullies the name of other commissions that are already in operation and who do very, very good work. So Families Commission, I don't think is quite right. If you, for instance, though, Mr. Chair, think about, well, what differentiates just a household with a couple of adults living in it from a family? Well, actually, one of the defining features, although New Zealand families classify themselves in a diverse range of ways, and that's to be celebrated, but a defining feature often is the presence of children. You know, that is one of the often, used defining features of a family, is the presence of children, young people, infants in that environment. You can have all sorts of makeup around their caregivers, but often the consistent thing is the presence of those children. So you would naturally expect a Families Commission to be quite focused on those younger, vulnerable people in that arrangement. Why then do we need a Families Commission and not just a Children's Commission? What is it that they represent that is different to a Children's Commission? I don't believe that's being adequately answered by the government or even by this bill. What is it that the Families Commission adds on top of what the Children's Commission adds? Because a Children's Commission who advocates well for children advocates well for families. If you look after the young the youngest and most vulnerable in our society, you don't actually just end up looking after the family, you look after the society as a whole. This bill seems to ignore the important role of those children and the fact that they're catered for already.
Dr. Rajan Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to take my last call on this bill, again, but still with a heavy heart.